painting our stockings.
Oh boy. You're talking about Santa and stockings.
St. Nicholas brings
St. Nicholas. Interesting.
and Santa.
And Santa's real.
You know what,
Yes.
Raymond?
Same.
Your mother will be mad at me when I'm done telling you this story. This is a Christmas story. Welcome to Grandpa Hill's True Stories. These stories are for my children, my grandchildren, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that are here. 6 out of 25. The 25th was born just to Sunday. Today is Christmas Eve, and it's a good day to tell a Christmas Eve story. But I don't have a Christmas Eve story. I have a Christmas Day story. This is something that happened to me, truly happened to me. I'm not exactly sure when, but I think I was 4 years old. So that'd be 1961. 1961. So how old was your daddy in 1961?
Not born.
Not born. Right. And how do I know that? Because I looked on the internet, and there was no internet. In 61, there was no cell phones. There was people that dreamed about like wristwatches that were like the smartwatches they are now. You had Dick Tracy comics, and you could see a person's face on your wristwatch, and you thought that was space age. It was like wild stuff. There weren't any computers either. Just barely. They were computing things, but nothing like we got now. And for me, it was a little worse than that, because the previous Christmas, actually it was looking up, because the previous Christmas, guess where I slept on Christmas Day?
Where?
The floor. Under the tree.
In my house.
In your house?
In our house. But our house was a garage.
Oh.
It was the size of a garage. But we had 2 windows up front and a side door. And guess what I did when I had to get up and go to the bathroom? I used either a pot or I went outside, because we weren't hooked up yet. We had an outhouse. So now we're all hooked up. Okay. This when I'm 4. And we are prepared. We're not really, the house isn't hooked up, excuse me. We're preparing to move. And for some reason that year I slept in the garage with 2 of my brothers. And that very same year, the rest of my family moved out. My sister and my baby brother, Jerry, and my mom and dad all moved out. You know where they moved to?
Where?
Their house. You know where their house was?
No.
It was about 10 feet away. They built a house right next to the garage. And then we lived in it. We were going to live in that. But for that year, I was still down there with my 2 brothers, and it was pretty cold. And I knew about Santa Claus. Just like, your mom was telling you about St. Nick and Santa Claus. I knew that stuff. I knew St. Nick was a nice guy. He was a bishop, and he gave gifts and stuff, and he helped the poor. But I was a little bit miffed about Santa Claus, even at 4. Because I could see Santa Claus on every corner ringing a bell, asking people for money. And I didn't get that. And then there was 1 or 2 Santa Clauses in the whole world that you got to sit on their knee and tell them what you wanted for Christmas. They were at the mall. There was a Santa Claus in a movie like Miracle on 34th Street or something. That was almost Santa Claus. They made a good argument for that being Santa Claus. But I didn't actually see him, and I knew it was a movie. But in this story, I got to see Santa Claus. The real Santa Claus. The best that I could possibly ever come up with a real Santa Claus. I saw him on Christmas Day in 1961. Yeah. Okay, so my big brother, Eugene, he woke me up. It was morning, okay, Christmas morning, about 6 in the morning. So it's just getting to be daylight. And it's foggy out, and there's snow and ice on the ground on the road, and there's snow on the driveway and snow in the yard. It's all white, but it's foggy. And he says to me, he says, if you get up, you can see Santa Claus. So sure, I popped up really quick because I wasn't really sure who Santa Claus was anyways, but my big brother said I could see him if I got up. So I got up, and I got up real close to the window, and I looked out, and what do you think I saw?
Santa Claus. Santa Claus!
No, I saw nothing. I saw the window. It was all full of frost and fog. And I had to scrape it off and rub my pajamas on it and everything. Then I could see out, and I still couldn't see anything. But I could hear something. I could hear jingle bells. There were like hundreds of jingle bells is what it sounded like to me, because it's out in the middle of the night, in the middle of the country, and you're hearing these bang, 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 bang. And then as the sleigh goes by, it's not like 8 reindeer or nothing like that. There's 4 big white horses, like Clydesdale size, that are clomping along, and they're pulling a sleigh. And like where you would sit on it is about 9 feet up or so. It's way up there. And this sleigh is as long as this room. It's like 20 feet plus. Wow. And there's 2 big black runners. It's all done in black and red. And there's behind the seat, there's all these packages. They're not wrapped up like presents with bows and stuff like that. They're like in duffel bags and things. And you could tell they're kind of lumpy. So it might be something that a Santa in the stories would put over their back and stuff. But that's what was piled up in the back. And there was a man. I think it was a man. I just got to see the side of him. He did not have a big belly, and he didn't shake like jelly and none of that stuff. But he did have a red hat, and it was tasseled, not in white. And I heard him say something, and I want to imagine it was Merry Christmas. But he was like laughing or something. He was talking. Maybe he was singing. I'm not sure, because the doors and windows are all closed. But I can hear those bells through the windows outside. And that day, I thought, and I still think today, that could have been Santa Claus. Now, do you think it was Santa Claus?
Naomi
Okay.
thinks it's Santa Claus.
Okay, so Santa Claus, he supposedly brings you these gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to tell you what I think about Christmas. Okay, because my favorite movie, first of all, I'll do my favorite Christmas special. You know what my favorite Christmas special is?
I don't know. Rudolph?
Rudolph.
Oh,
Yes.
wait.
Now, do you know why it's my favorite? Because of a dentist
The dentist
and Rudolph.
Dentist and Rudolph.
What do the dentist and Rudolph do? They don't fit in. And what do? They run away. And what do? They cause a lot of trouble for a lot of folks at home. They really make a mess. And then what do?
Fix it.
They come back and they fix it. Now, you can't always fix things in life, but they came back and they fixed it. So they're my heroes in that movie. And that's why I like it. The other Christmas movie I like, this is actually a movie. And this has a lot more to do with Christmas. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. Now, in A Wonderful Life, It's a Wonderful Life, the man in the story really messes up. He's does stuff that's going to make him bankrupt. Everybody around him are going to lose their houses. It's just terrible. He lost a large amount of money, which makes him look like a crook. Okay? And he's got this idea in his head that the world would be better off if he wasn't in it. Okay? And God sends him an angel. And the angel convinces him by showing him what it would be like if he had not been there. And there was all kinds of terrible things that would have happened that didn't happen because he was there. And there were all kinds of good things that did happen because he was there. Okay? So I want to tell you that every single one of you, if you ever get in that position, the world is better off because you're here. And I know I'm better off because I'm here. And we're all better off because of the greatest gift ever, which was God giving his son on Christmas Day to us. His son and his son's life to us. That we would have eternal life if we believe in him. That's the greatest gift, and that's what we're supposed to remember. And that's why we give gifts to each other too, is so that we can be remembering the greatest gift and giving things to people. You think you got it, Naomi? Yeah. That's the end of the story.